On today's show, we'll recommend an EV for a viewer looking for the biggest bang for their buck for under $30,000, a newcomer to EVs looking to replace his Toyota Corolla with something under $30,000, $30,000, and a family looking for something big enough to handle kids, dogs, and grandparents for under $40,000. Welcome to Battery Bargains, a weekly series from the Batteries Included podcast where we make EV recommendations to order. This is episode number 54. I'm Dominic Chioni, and I am joined today by Martin Lee from the EV News Daily podcast. Good morning, Martin.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are watching around the world. If you're live, hello if you're watching the live stream, and if you're watching the playback as well, then leave us a comment below and let us know what you think of the suggestions we make today and what you would have suggested if something different. No, I'm doing okay, Dom. You okay? A cheeky early midweek show.
Yeah. I'm feeling it too. If you're out there and you're looking for your own bespoke battery bargain recommendation, just send us a 1-minute video or a short email describing your use case and budget, and we'll see about featuring your case on an upcoming episode. So I guess let's kick this off with our first case for today. And to be transparent, we've paraphrased these emails a bit for length and clarity. So our first email comes to us from Greg, who writes, "I am a constant listener to the podcast, and
sorry to hear that, Greg."
And I'm so interested in the whole EV tech stuff. So I am going to be in the market for a used EV soon. So budget is $15,000 to $25,000. So automatically, I messed up the intro, right? I started off by saying 30,000, but actually he is the $25,000 budget case. So I will be charging at home, although level 1 at the moment because we rent. I'm currently driving a 2013 Hyundai Elantra GT with all the features and always been a hatchback guy. I will not be driving it every day, so level 1 should work, plus availability of many DC chargers near me. So I was thinking Bolt EUV Premier, Ioniq 5, or Polestar. I assume he means Polestar 2. I'd like all the bells and whistles, but I know with the Ioniq and Polestar, I'd have to say no to get in my budget. But I want the biggest bang for my buck. I take performance on the road and charging over bells and whistles. Would I be better waiting a year for leases to be up? Concerns are Polestar service center availability. Thank you so much, and keep up the good work. Greg in Albany, New York.
Thank you, Greg. Well, it's not particularly good, and we don't call it work, but we appreciate your comments. Dom, kick us off. Where do you want to start with this?
Well, okay. So, Greg, your budget is pretty much used EV territory there, which is fine because there are lots of great deals out there. I don't know about waiting another year because right now you can take advantage of the $4,000 used EV tax credit. So if it's under $25,000, you can pretty much, if you don't make too much money, there's a few qualifications, but you should be able to get $4,000 off the price of any EV under $25,000 until you get, unless it's like I think around 10,000 or 12,000, that amount gets smaller. I forget what the exact numbers are, but you want close to $25,000, so not to worry about that. Right. So just really quickly, I had started last night looking at this case, and I started looking at the Equinox and saying maybe you can get an Equinox because in New York, there's like a $2,000 state incentive that you can pile on top of the $7,500 federal tax incentive for new EVs. And so that would bring the price of a Equinox EV down to almost right around $25,000, especially if they have other little bonuses that you can take off the price. Like if you're a teacher, you can get $1,000 off. If you're a Costco member of certain level, you can get like a $1,200 off. And then there's another level to that Costco thing. Anyway, there's a bunch of different ways to get money off of new cars. And it gets down to about the 25,000, but I couldn't find anybody in your area that was on the New York State list of approved dealers that offered the $2,000 state incentive. And when I did, their prices were all jacked up by $2,000. And so it's like, right. So dealers are kind of helping themselves with that money, I think, in their New York State. But So let's go look at the used market because there's lots of great stuff out there, um, and for a lot less money. So I started off looking at a Bolt EV because that's kind of you're a hatchback guy, and that is right in your wheelhouse. And I believe you mentioned EUV too, right? Did he mention EUV? Because that's what I found.
Yeah, EUV Premier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
EUV Premier. I'm not sure if what I have here is a Premier, but this was like a pretty decent deal. 2022
Good
Chevrolet
deal.
Bolt EUV front wheel drive, 110 miles. It's a new car basically. You can buy cars with more miles off the lot. This brand new, and it's certified, so it's fine. It is a 2022, so it's. Uh, I'm not sure how that works out for the warranty, but also I believe that you should be able to get $4,000 off that price, so that would drop it down to 19,488. But double check with the before you get your hopes up too much. Double check with the dealership because some dealers play some games with that $4,000 used EV incentive. Because when you look at the websites, at the car sites, Martin, you'll see that they'll have like the prices. It should be either over $25,000 or they'll take it off and then they'll offer for 21 or lower. But sometimes you'll see some cars listed for more than 21,000, but they somehow have that $4,000 removed, which would put the price over 25,000. So I'm not exactly sure how that all works out. So all that to say, call the dealership before you go get too far ahead of yourself, right? Yes, but look at this thing, 20. Let me just scroll down so you can actually see it a little bit better. But yeah, that's a really great deal. I think $23,500 or possibly $19,500 for a brand new Chevy Bolt. But the thing with the Bolt though, it's not like the fastest charging vehicle, and it's it's front wheel drive. That should be fine, but depending on some people prefer all wheel drive or rear wheel drive. But it's a pretty basic car too in a lot of respects. So we'll just take that away, and so I had to look at your other things. So I was kind of surprised too. So Polestars, they can be found for similar money actually, um, but with more miles. So still worth considering though. It's a lot more car in some respects, but it's more comfortable and probably a lot more enjoyable to drive if you like driving spiritedly. So I found this 2022 again, Polestar 2 long range dual motor in your area with 29, almost 30,000 miles, $24,137. So that should be able to be eligible for the $4,000 off. So again, $21,000 Polestar 2, which is what Martin drives, and he can attest that it's a pretty lovely car, right, Martin?
Yeah, honestly, I've had no problems with mine. Touch wood, very lucky. What I like most about it, so firstly, it's a great chassis that it's built on, but also I unexpectedly like the Google operating system. It's different to plugging in your car, either to Apple CarPlay or Android Auto, but running full fat native Google. You don't get all of the Play Store, of course. You get a curated set of apps that you can download. I'm surprised how much I've enjoyed it. I would say the over-the-air updates semi-regular on this.
Okay.
I
Small
haven't
trunk.
I haven't been keeping track. All I keep in here are the charging cables, because obviously in Europe over here we have untethered level 2 charging, and so you always carry your level 2 charging cable with you, and I just stick my home charger. Granny cable. Although I see people getting upset recently with calling it the granny cable because it's anti-grannyist apparently. It's ageist. So whatever.
Right.
The charging brick. I carry mine in there, and it's got the tags on. It's never ever been used, but that's what I stick up there. We've been on some family holidays, and I've used that frunk for overflow, but it's tiny. It's really small. And that actually, now that you're on the Polestar 2, does take me to how the car feels. The car feels incredibly like a petrol car. I mean, it was designed. It's on a shared platform, right? So it was designed to have an engine up front, although then it became a Polestar. I never had an engine. but it was going to be the saloon version of the Volvo XC40, and that has got an engine. So it looks very traditional. It doesn't look like an EV, and it feels like it inside. You know, some people don't like the way that your knee rests against the bulkhead, and then some people find that the elbow. I read a review, one of the US outlets, that like laid it just like this car would be perfect, but the elbow rests are all wrong, and I was sitting in it going like, but they're here, like, so maybe the guy had a really weird body shape, I don't know, and so, but it's tight, it's compact in there. But on the other hand, if you want to feel sporty, then it certainly does cocoon you. I can highly recommend the Polestar 2.
So here's his other choice was Ioniq 5, which is a great choice, and this was a little harder to find actually in that price range with under 30,000 miles, and this does have 29,000 miles, so it's up there. But the price is also 24,995. It's an SE, so it's let's see. This one is a rear-wheel drive, so it's the lowest trim, but it's got the big battery because they make the SE standard as well, which has a smaller battery with less range. But this one has it's rear-wheel drive and a big battery, so it has the most range of the Ioniq 5 family, basically. So it gets a little over around 300 miles of range, and it charges super fast as well compared to the Polestar, and especially the Bolt. The Bolt is a slow charger, so this is 0 to 10 to 80% in 18 minutes when you, on a DC fast charger with 350 kilowatts. And it should, of course, be eligible for the $4,000 used EV incentive again. So looking at a $21,000 EV, used EV. So I guess you just need to decide if you want, a brand new kind of Bolt EV, kind of more not, yeah, I like to say economy car, but Jeremy Beard in the comments saying I've got an Ioniq 5 2022 SE, almost 35,000 miles, best car. Yeah. No, they're great. They look good. They look really great. Charge good. There's not a whole lot to pick on these. They have a decent chassis, I believe. Good handling. I don't know. What do you think about all these?
So I like the Ioniq 5 a lot. We almost bought one. Didn't go for it in the end, but I would have one at the drop of a hat tomorrow. I think the Ioniq 5 is a great car. If you've driven any other Hyundai Kia, the software looks all the same, and that could be something that doesn't make the car feel very special, because we had a Kona for a year, and then you go for an Ioniq 5 and it looks exactly the same inside, and the icons are different colors and redesigned a little bit, and it's got bigger screens, but ultimately it still felt a little bit like a slightly old-fashioned user interface, but that might not bother you. You might actually like that a lot. It was very snappy, and it all worked very well. But as someone who's owned a Kona, I felt like if I got an Ioniq 5 next, which is what we were looking at, it would be kind of more of the same. And that's also fine, by the way, but I just fancied a change. And so bear that in mind. It doesn't look outdated, but it's not like a Tesla or a Polestar with the big portrait screen that often gets updated, and it can often look quite new. Sometimes you get new apps and things like that. But Ioniq 5, highly recommend it. I will leave you with a curveball. I mentioned that the Polestar 2 was launched as a saloon version of the XC40 back in 2016 or whenever it was, when the concept cars were announced, and that was before Polestar was a whole spin-off thing. Look at the Volvo. Why don't you look at the Volvo XC40? The XC40 is really rapid. You get a 2022 plate in the US. You might have to travel a little bit to go pick it up, but that's okay. With 15 to 20,000 miles for under $25,000. And that's a real sleeper hit, because the Polestar is quick. I've got the one that Dom was showing you, the dual motor long range, and it's got all the packs on it and stuff. And it's rapid, but sometimes I wouldn't mind something a little more Volvo XC40-ish, and have a look at those, because they're ridiculously quick. Now, the Volvo will, the Kona, sorry, I see people suggesting Kona in the comments, that will spin its inside wheel all day long. Like, it's got loads of power, and the traction control is lenient. However, the Volvo XC40 is stupidly fast for the kind of car that it is. And so you get a good one. Get a great used XC40 in the US. The downsides of the Volvo and the Polestar, they don't charge particularly quickly, but you said in your email you don't care about charging. It's going to be level 1 charged most of the time. And so it hasn't got the most range. It's got pretty awful efficiency compared to the latest, greatest EVs, but it's a really nice car to be in. And it's got all those nice little Volvo touches and design choices and material choices. And if that's up your street, it's going to be hard to beat a vehicle like this that is half the price of when it was new. And it's going to feel new to you.
Yeah, so this is the XC40 that you're talking about on the screen right now. And I'm not sure where this particular dealer is because it's Central Auto House, but 19,000 miles, 23,888. So again, you can take that $4,000 off of that, I believe. And yes, that's a great shout, Martin. Those are
You don't see
pretty nice
many of
car,
them
and he
around.
likes the hatchback. It's got the hatchback on the back,
And you'll be driving something that, not many people are driving, but
True.
when you see someone driving that same as you'll think, interesting. Like, it's not an obvious choice. It's obvious thing is to say, just go for the Tesla supercharger network. It's your first EV. They'll completely look after you wherever you are. But you weren't saying like, we want to do long road trips. We want to do this. We want to explore. And it's our first EV. So otherwise, I would recommend a Tesla because that supercharger network will look after you. But your use case is different. You want something, you drive, what was it, Elantra GT or something. I sense you might like to drive things that are a little bit different.
Right. All right. So I guess let's move on to our next email. And that comes to us from Nate. And so he says, "Hi, I found this email in a Reddit thread as I was studying up on EVs. So not a long time viewer, listener, whatever, first time caller. I'm currently looking for my first EV in the Salt Lake City, Utah area. I know very little about the EV market and would love recommendations on what to get. I'd like to find something in the $20,000 to $30,000 range, ideally somewhere that would accept my 2020 Toyota Corolla as a trade-in. Thanks, Nate." So this one's short and sweet, Martin. Hardly, it's like wide open basically. But he's a total newbie to EVs, and he's a little bit worried about his a dealership taking his 2020 Toyota Corolla in as a trade-in. I don't think that's anything to worry about.
No,
I think
wouldn't worry about that.
That's fine. They probably get a fair, a decent trade-in value with that. So that would help your bring your price down as well if you get a decent value for your car. So there are a wealth of vehicles in the used EV market in this price range. So I searched within 200 miles of Salt Lake City for a car with a good title, no accidents, under 30,000 miles. Also tried 2023 or newer. Since your car is like a 2020, I assume you like something a bit newer. So used EVs 25,000 or less are eligible for a $4,000 incentive as well. Since you're new to EVs, I thought I mentioned that. So also being new to EVs, I thought you should try to stick to ones which would just have like decently quick fast charging to avoid any road trip frustration. So I'm not sure if you take a lot of road trips, but living out in Utah, I would take a lot of road trips because it's a beautiful country out there. It's like amazing. And so, yeah, the road awaits. And you're coming from a sedan. So I think a Tesla Model 3 is the easy choice. And I did find a standard range. That's 272 miles of range over near you in, where is it? Murray of BMW of Murray. That's right at 20. Oh, and the vehicle I'm looking for is no longer available. Okay. So I didn't find.
That's how good it was. It was so good. Somebody bought it last night.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to. There are several in this whole neighborhood, like the Price neighborhood. So the one I found was a 2023 Tesla Model 3 standard range, 13,000 miles, basically, for $24,995, which means that you should be able to get it for $21,000, basically, well within your budget. And because it was also, this one was a white on white, which I thought was nice for that area because it's hot, and this white, is a good color for hot climates, basically. So you're not burning yourself. And of course, the charging experience is super simple when you're on the road. Tesla superchargers, it's just low stress. Don't have to worry about it. It's what I drive. It's I really enjoy my car personally, but it's just like a subjective thing, really. If you like Tesla Model 3, I've been in some that had a good amount of miles and were kind of clapped out. I don't know if it's the driver or the roads they're on, but mine's got uh, getting close to 70,000 miles on it now, and the ride's pretty good. I think I need to get my front control arms fixed up a little bit, but yeah. So that was my first choice, and then looking at what's available for you again in the right price range. There's also a 2024 Honda Prologue over there near the top of your budget. It's in, what is it? Where does it go here? It is to do right. Honda Prologue. You see, you have it on the screen here. 10,000 miles, 10,140 miles, 2024. So it's like new. A few miles on it, and also near the top of your budget. But I thought this was pretty decent car. Pretty popular. This is basically like the Chevrolet Blazer. Trying to figure out how. Okay, it scrolls this way. But it's a Honda's totally reskinned version of the Chevy Blazer EV, and I think it looks better actually. And these are being snapped up pretty decently. But I thought that's a pretty good. You can get into one of these things for like $30,000. And then of course, like our previous letter writer, the Hyundai Ioniq 5 is also a good show. And so in your area, I found this one, which I thought looks pretty great. I think it's the good color. Do you like this, Martin?
Yeah, very, 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 very much. And I must admit, I prefer the Ioniq 5 in a gloss than the matte that they did. Personal view. Go and have a look at the colors up close. I don't like the matte up close, but I'm sure people who love it. It wasn't for me, but this gloss is a beautiful color.
Right. It looks like there's some like color shifting going on. I know they do have some colors that kind of change a little bit as you walk around the car. But yeah, because back here, this looks kind of green, has a green cast to it, but up front, it's like a sandy tan. Yeah. But anyway, yeah, these are great cars. Fast charging. This one's a rear-wheel drive, I believe. So not as quick as the all-wheel drive, but coming from the Corolla, it should feel pretty decent. Yeah, 18,000 miles. So okay on the miles, and the price actually for that is it's also 25,996. So in a case like this, if you could talk them down a little bit and get it to that $25,000 mark somehow, you can score the extra $4,000 off, which makes this like a no-brainer, really. Right? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I found. What do you think, Martin?
I was just checking I know you gave the total price. I was just checking there wasn't anything ridiculous on the lease deals at the moment, because we always get great deals on the Honda Prologue, always good lease deals on the Toyota BZ4X, and some of the Korean cars, the Hyundais and Kias, have been chipping in without the federal tax credit. They've been subsidizing it themselves, and that's led to some very low monthly payments. Kia EV6 is what I wanted to recommend. Best I can find is $4,000 down and $319 a month, which is not spectacular. That's the light long range rear wheel drive. Yeah, that's not a spectacular price. We've seen some really good lease pricing in the one something a month. Any reason I go that? Sorry, let me back up. Is because this is your first EV, and so it would be nice not to make a financial commitment and buy it. I say that as someone who always buys used cars. I've had one new car in my entire life. I always wait for depreciation to hit. I get nearly new cars sometimes, but I always buy used. And so I say that And yeah, I would recommend to you, if you are going EV for the first time, maybe don't get into it long term. You could think, right, I've got a lease deal that's $250 a month. Maybe it's some money down and stuff. And in 3 years' time, it's not for us. We just hand it back. So that might be a consideration. So you didn't give us a lot to go on here. Pop back on screen for a second. But Nate, yeah, you tell us where you are and that you want to spend up to £30,000 and that you have a Toyota Corolla. So, you're a Toyota guy. You could go BZ4X. It's not a great electric vehicle, if I'm honest with you, in terms of charging and
fast charging,
road tripping and stuff like that. But you might not care about that. First of all, Nate,
sorry, I didn't mean to step on you there.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, besides that part, though, a lot of people do like their Toyota BZ4Xs. So it is a consideration if you can get a good price. Just keep in mind that it's not the fastest DC charger, basically.
Yeah, and same with Subaru Solterra as well.
Mm-hmm.
Great lease deals on that at times in certain places. So have a look at those. If you're a Toyota guy, you might want another Toyota. But the Honda Prologue's been a really big seller in the US, like Dom says, partly because it's a good EV. The Prologue is good, but also they've just been kicking in really good finance deals on it. And if you aren't 100% committed to EV and you think, well, we'll just want to do like a 2 or 3 year finance agreement, that would be good. So I think going EV, obviously, the big things are price, range, reliability, and charging. Now, many car brands can also use the Tesla Supercharger network now with an adapter because they've got a CCS socket on the side, but Tesla uses J3400. It used to be their own socket, and they kind of gave it away, and now everybody can use it, so it's a standard. And so many check which car brands can use their superchargers. Of course, Tesla's can, obviously, and it's really easy to suggest to you a Model 3 because apart from all the political stuff around it that may or may not bother you, the depreciation on Teslas has been a little bit, and not for it to sting for Dom too much, who owns one, but Tesla depreciation's been slightly higher than other car brands in the US this year, again because of some of the antics outside of the actual cars themselves. And so you get one for a good deal at the moment. I think a lot of that will blow away, by the way, over time, and and we'll get back talking about cars. I think we already are, by the way. So you get a great deal, you get great charging, largely you get great reliability, and we can say that because Teslas are easily the most popular EVs in America, and it's not like they've had a common fault. It's not like they're like, oh, you don't want to touch one because the wheel bearings go after 80,000 miles. There are issues, but all car brands have issues, and all car brands have recalls as well. And so I think Model 3 would be very easy to recommend to you because it's just a great first EV. It just does stuff. It's a sedan. Model 3 is just really good at what it is. It's going to feel different because it is a big computer, and it will feel different to you. Could be a bit stark. Might not be enough inside it for you, but it's a bit like the training wheels being taken off of a kid's bike. If you want to go EV for the first time, the Tesla has got largely pretty good range, okay charging. In the Model 3, used to be class leading. The Model 3 isn't really class leading in any way. Anyway, it doesn't charge the fastest or go the furthest, but it is. There's so many of them. You'll get a great price, and it's really good. So I would say start there, and then if you want to do something a little bit off the beaten track, do have a look at Kia EV6s, which they've sold about, I'd say, a tenth, not even that many, of the Model 3 last year. It's a Model 3 competitor. Sold a fraction of the Model 3. I think they did like 12,000 last year in the US or something. I might be corrected on that. So you won't see tons of them, but a really, really good EV in the vein of the Model 3, but a little bit more rare.
Oh, and Jeff is saying he loves his Highland. That's the new refreshed Model 3 performance, which the performance is out now. It's pretty awesome. Credo was saying definitely we should not be recommending Teslas to first-time EV owners. And later he says you want to recommend cars that are as close as possible to ICE models in styling and interior with just a different drivetrain to learn one thing at a time. I mean,
I'm not
For some people, that might be,
sure.
that advice might be good advice for some people. I I really liked going, but I guess it wasn't my first EV, my Model 3. But I personally I really liked that plain no buttons kind of thing. I know I'm an outlier maybe, but
No, you're not. No, you're not.
anyway, we should move along to our next or that final email. That comes to us from Kevin, who says, "Hi, great show. I've never owned an EV, but I'm dead set on getting one as my next car. I am buying something next year. Max price is 40,000. I may lose the government job, so I'm being very tight with cash. I need a different car because I have tiny kids, and my current 2012 Forester no longer works. It's too small for car seats, dogs, kid stuff, and grandparents. However, I am worried with my requirements that I'm stuck with a Chrysler Pacifica when I would prefer full EV. If I have to turn to the Chrysler, should I have concerns about Pacifica's reliability and supposed weird sounds I'm reading about? Will an EV9 drop below 40,000 by next year? Thoughts on depreciation of used EVs? Requirements include at least 3 rows, a family of 4 plus 2 dogs plus the occasional grandparent. We live in Washington, D.C. with a smallish parking space, so easy parking would be great. It would be the only car. We work from home or use public transit. We would install level 2 charger. Every year, whole family drives on 2 separate 12-hour road trips to see relatives, so need cargo space and fast DC charging. And of course, good safety features. I haven't driven a new car at all, so I have no idea what all the features even are when they're mentioned. Would like to have CarPlay. Curious which cruise features people like. Prefer non-Tesla. Brackets, see possible job loss. Thank you for your help, Kevin. All right. So, right. So he doesn't want a Tesla because the head of Tesla may be responsible for him losing his possibly losing his job because he headed that whole Dodge outfit. Who they cut a lot of government agencies down. So we don't need to get into that. But we do respect your decision there. So considering your situation, I searched for 3-row SUVs with fewer than 30,000 miles and with CarPlay. So the Kia EV9 would be my first choice for you, but they're mostly out of your budget. So I was kind of surprised. Maybe in a year from now, I'm not really sure. There should be some more that you would think you expect it would get down a bit more into your budget for sure. Because I did find one. So it's but it's the I found let me just bring this up on the screen. I guess it's a 2024. Yes, 2024. So the year is great. Kia EV9 light, short range, with only 56,082 miles on it for 37,478.
Wow.
So this is like the kind of like the I was going to say bare bones spec. I'm not sure. It's got a fair amount of decent standard features on it, but it is the shorter range one. So it's I think it's 230 miles of range. Yeah, and this one is actually it's like I said, there was none in your area at all. So this is the closest thing I could find, and it's in Kentucky. So that's like 470 miles away from you in Louisville. Some places can ship, so that might be something you want to do. Or this is a fast charging car, so a road trip. If you like flew into Louisville, I don't know. Not everyone wants to take that kind of chance, like fly into some place and then check out the car, buy it, and then drive it back. It's what I did, but it's not everybody's comfort zone. But it is a decent looking, option basically. And when in your budget right now, there's not a whole lot of 3 rows down there, like in that area. So if you don't go with Kia EV9, the other choice, really the only other 3-row one with CarPlay, is a Mercedes EQB. So I can bring one of those up on the screen as well. I think here in a sec. And have you been into the EQB before, Martin?
Yeah, really nice. fantastic car. Again, feels like, well, it is, isn't it? It's a GLB, but stupid thing to say. It just feels like a GLB. So yeah, it's a
Okay.
great car. Great car.
Right. I mean, it feels very Mercedes inside. It's pretty like a little bit posh feeling, I think. It is I believe it's front wheel drive, like the when there's so there's a single motor version of this, and then there's the 4MATIC all wheel. The one I'm showing you right now is a 4MATIC, so it's all wheel drive. But I believe it's front axle biased, and it's got a little small helper motor on the rear axle. But yeah, so this is right down into your neighborhood, and 68,045 miles. So that's a that's pretty close to a new car. That's, I don't think you can really go wrong with that. That said, the third row is a bit small, and it doesn't really. None of these pictures really. This one has sunroof too. It's nice. A lot of these pictures, they don't really show the third row, but the ads all say they have the third row. I think they just fold them flat. Maybe move down to this picture of the rear here. Right. So I believe there's a third row under this mat that just pops up, but it's not like as big as like the EV9. It's got a nice, spacious third row. This is not quite like that, but it's a lot more posh of a vehicle. I don't know. What do you think, Martin?
I would worry about the short range on the EV9. 230 miles EPA on that. And
this one's not much better though. The Mercedes.
Yeah, both of them are pretty low. There's nothing that's going to be mega long range. I guess a really old Tesla Model X. I'm not really seeing a bunch of people talk about. Obviously, sometimes the Falcon Wing doors can need some attention.
Tesla though.
At service, of course, no Tesla. So yeah, really, really excellent, detailed email here. One of the things he says is, I'm going to get an EV next year. Max price $40,000. I'm buying something next year. Doesn't say when next year. And so I don't know if I'm allowed to do this. Let's say it's in 12 months' time. Let me take that off. Let's say it's in a year's time, right? So what will an ID Buzz be in 12 months' time? Because the cheapest ones are 55 now.
Oh, okay. And they start like above 60, basically, somewhere.
So, like, I don't know. I'll do some screen share or something. There's try and do that. Share my screen.
Okay.
Share my window, and go to this one. I don't know if I can do it while I'm also doing the other thing as well. But yeah, I wonder if I'm allowed to do that. I mean, it's our podcast. We'll make up the rules. But yeah, he says he's buying it next year. So, the end of next year gives us 18 months of extra depreciation on that. That's interesting.
So this is the cheapest one I could find. 55 right now. 55.7. Right. So to drop 15,000 in a year, that's
but it's the
drop.
ID Buzz. But it's the ID Buzz, right? Which has gone down, I think, less well in the US than Volkswagen perhaps were expecting. Now, I don't know why, because we got the ID Buzz as basically a big car. It was a 5-seater, rear bench, short wheelbase, average battery, and not that great. And actually, you get the long wheelbase version, 7-seater, 3-row, big battery, 84 kilowatt hour, which we can get as well now, as well as the original one. The original ones here have really depreciated quite a lot, but they are very much like a tall car. Obviously, they're a van, and you can get a lot in them. But the long wheelbase, 3-row, with the big battery, still, it eats into the range because of the shape of it, and the efficiency is not stunning. I'm trying to put my, sort of my hat on to think forward in 12 months' time. This could be 40. This could be 40. I would just keep checking back every month or two and being like, right, what do they cost now? Like, where is depreciation hitting them or not? Now, you won't get the $4,000 used EV tax credit. We talk about that. It's got to be under $25,000, and it's going anyway at the end of the year. And so we can't factor that in from 2026. But if you are thinking about what to buy in a year's time, this could be perfect for you. You also say that you got a tight parking space and want 3 rows, and I'm not sure how those two things go together, but what I call a tight parking space and you call a tight parking space might be different. So this, I really, really like the ID Buzz long range 3-row. My brother has the short wheelbase, and it is still, I still think pretty cavernous inside, but it is basically a big car. Whereas this one, you can properly spec this as a big old doggo carrier. 4 adults in comfort, couple of big doggos in the back, and luggage. What's depreciation going to do to this? 15 grand off in a year's time? I would keep an eye on these prices.
Right. Yeah, I kind of like this over the EV9 in a way. The EV9 will charge faster. And I haven't driven the ID Buzz yet. I have driven the EV9, and it's pretty decent for a driver. The software is not great, but you can, once you live with it for a while and you learn its quirks, and you can deal with it fine. But
when we get these emails every week, I always try and be sympathetic to when someone says, I do 2 big road trips a year, because you want to take your car on a road trip. For many people, doing a road trip is where they fall in love with their car, whether it's with the family or whether you drive it. Like Dom flew out to buy his Tesla and drove it home. And you can often fall in love with the car when you drive it on these big, big journeys. But when I moved house, I didn't think, I don't own a box truck. I just went and hired one. Right? Because it's ridiculous to think that you would own a box truck for 52 weeks of the year when you move once every 10 years or whatever. And so if you genuinely do need to move a ton of people and dogs and maybe even tow, I mean, maybe just hire some. And you've got kids, and they're going to get fractious if you are not stopping and making it the journey itself part of the holiday. If it's just about getting to where you're going, I mean, maybe just hire something
just rent a car. Yeah,
put gas in twice a year. And I say that as someone who lives and breathes EVs. It's all about use case. You got to live with this for 50 weeks of the year, and then 2 weeks of the year, maybe hire a van or hire a people carrier or something. But I say that also understanding that a lot of people want to take their own car, because road trips can be as much as part of the holiday. They can be the holiday. Like sometimes the journey is the destination. Or is that the other way around? So no, that's right. So Buzz. I'm keeping an eye on the Buzz.
EVs of America mentions Cadillac Lyriq for $38,000. That's a great deal, and I love a Lyriq, but it's not a 3-row. And for this particular letter writer, they need 3 rows. But that is a nice $38,000 for a Lyriq. Could be nice. All right.
What's the big? Such a gap in my knowledge. What's the big 3-row Chevy that's coming, or is it here already?
Well, there's Cadillac Escalade IQ. Oh, and also the Vista. Is it the Cadillac Vista? The Vistic, right?
So
right.
yeah, so the Vista again. The Vistic is going to be a car in a year's time that people are going to be queuing up to buy that, and is it going to get hit by depreciation? And that is a 3-row, so yeah, that could be an option as well. Maybe not. Maybe. I like the EV9. The EV9 is a great choice, though. Like as Dom says, that's the price that you want now, let alone in a year's time. But the short range would bother me a little bit. Just go for the long range if you can.
Yeah, the Vistics right now, they're still $70,000.
Yeah, they're not going to be 40 next year then. Yeah.
No, unfortunately, because Cadillac. I love what Cadillac's doing with their EVs. All right.
Yeah. Good stuff.
All right. So
comments as well. Thank you this week. An old Model X, but he says no Tesla.
No Tesla. You're right. Vistic, but more than EV9. The price on the Vistic's a lot.
Still too high.
All right. But I guess that we've gone almost 45 minutes on our 30-minute show, so we should probably wrap things up. All right. So thanks for tuning in and watching today. This brings us to the end of our show. If you're looking for your own bespoke EV recommendation, drop us a line at Battery Bargains at Battery Bargains at batteriesinccludedpodcast.com. If you have any questions or comments, please leave them below or get in touch with us on the social media platform of your choice. We're on all of them. Don't forget, if you like the show, please give us a thumbs up. Don't forget, if you didn't like the show, please give us a thumbs up. Click subscribe, tap that bell icon for notifications and all that good stuff. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll